I recently caught Governor Inslee breaking the law, and he has now admitted that he broke the law. So, let me explain in detail. Thank you for watching. My name is Glen Morgan, and this is We the Governed. And as always, I am reporting from Washington State, the center of the endless pandemic emergency and emergency orders from Governor Inslee. And nothing I say here will have been approved by Inslee's Ministry of COVID Compliance, so it's a trigger warning to all those watching, particularly those watching for the first time. If you only want to hear what Inslee wants you to hear, please stop watching right now. So with that, I just wanted to go into the story here because, of course, Inslee's never happy when people catch him or even dare question him, and they don't like it when somebody catches him breaking the law. And this is why about a year and a half ago, he was on record saying that people were being insubordinate, his words, if you dared to go out and protest him at the state capitol, because he doesn't think that the serfs and the peasants over whom he believes he rules should have any ability at all to question what he's doing as governor. Well, one of the things that, as some people who have followed me for a while know, I like to file ethics and campaign finance violation complaints against the politicians, PACs, judges, and others who do break the laws on a regular basis. And for me, this has been kind of a common hobby of mine. It's the kind of thing that makes me happy. I'd like to teach more people on how to do it, and the more people out there paying attention to what their elected officials are doing, the better off I think we'd all be. Nevertheless, as part of this process, I had filed a complaint recently with the Public Disclosure Commission, and if you want to learn more, this is a great resource for you. Go to pdc.wa.gov. I'll link it down below so that you can go there. It's a great way to search and study campaigns and who's funding them. And one of the complaints that I filed, and you'll find this on the enforcement page, which I've also linked down below too, is a complaint that I filed back on November 21st of last year for Inslee attempting to conceal his membership and involvement in out-of-state entities and corporations that he's really required by law to report on his financial disclosure documents. And I was curious to see how he responded. And just for clarity's sake, I don't think Inslee was very happy with me or the fact that the PDC had contacted him on this. And keep in mind, a guy like this has several paid people who are involved in trying to keep him on the straight and narrow. So this was not an accident. This is just the way that he rolls. But you can see from the tone of his letter, and this is one from him, he was not happy when Governor Inslee sent this letter. And of course, he sends it to the PDC because they're the ones who the Public Disclosure Commission passes on the complaint when I file it on him. But boy, was he not happy. And you can read it in the tone of this letter, and you can see it in how he responded. And essentially, when you look at this, what happened here is the complaint forced him to reveal his membership in about 10 different political entities around the country that are not based in Washington State. And that was the primary thing that he was focused on, attempting to comply with the law, late as it is, and against, he wouldn't have complied with it if we didn't file this complaint on him. The other thing, though, that was interesting and that came out of just the initial overview of this, of his filings, is that he was also forced to reveal that Washington State taxpayers are on the hook for almost $200,000 in taxpayer dollars spent on these memberships in two different nonpartisan, theoretically nonpartisan groups or associations. And that is a lot of money that taxpayers are paying for essentially nothing. Now, it's not like Governor Inslee doesn't waste money all the time. He does, and he clearly doesn't care as long as you're paying his tab. He'll happily travel wherever he wants, run for president randomly when he wants, or do anything else that he wants. But this was just kind of an interesting another example of how he wastes taxpayer dollars just for his own membership dues in these associations. And I did find that kind of interesting and worth noting, and we wouldn't have discovered, at least I wouldn't have found out, without filing that complaint and getting him to submit this information, being a lot more transparent. And for the first time, at least recently, compliant with the law, at least in this little way. Now, there'll be some other complaints that I'm not sure that he's compliant in other ways, but maybe he's a little bit more compliant here. Keep in mind, it's very possible there may be other organizations that he's a member of that he's also kept concealed from the public. So I encourage anybody who's willing to dig through open public records and any records they might find, if you find other groups that he's involved in and that he hasn't reported, please let me know. I'll be happy to add that to the complaints if you can provide documentation, and we'll make sure that we keep him on the straight and narrow. Inslee's always had an attitude that he doesn't believe anybody should be able to question him. And this comes through all the time. Anybody that's ever met him or been around him knows that he definitely has this elitist attitude. And so it's always good when we remind him that the citizens can hold him accountable. And even though he believes that he's above the law and he wants to use the law to abuse the rest of the people who live here in our state, particularly his political enemies, it's good to remind him that sometimes he even has to follow the law. And this doesn't mean, by the way, that the Public Disclosure Commission is going to throw him in jail or give him the Tim Eyman treatment, as Attorney General Bob Ferguson has been doing, for supposedly breaking laws that are not too dissimilar from this one. But at least we'll see what they end up doing. Maybe he does get fined. Maybe they issue him a warning letter. We'll see. But at least it helps Inslee start to be a little bit more transparent about who he is and where he's coming from. So if you want to learn more about this complaint, you can go to some of the links that I have down below. You can also see lists I'll link down below on my website, where I've caught a lot of others, quite a few other politicians from around the state who have also, I think 76 of them, with another 110 that have had warning letters over the last few years. All those source documents are linked down there if you want them. And don't forget to subscribe to our free email newsletter. If you like what we're doing, feel free to support us financially down below. And also, I encourage everybody to stay engaged and get involved. It's the only way that we can make a difference in the state. You can go learn more at wethegovern.com. And also remember, the future belongs to those who show up.